Today, we've got a very special review. It's been a hot minute since I've done a proper LEGO review, and what better way to kickstart it by reviewing, quite literally, one of the biggest LEGO sets I've ever owned, period, in my 13 plus years of collecting LEGO. This has definitely broken a new record for me personally, and of course, this is the mighty Minas Tirith, the capital city of Gondor, the White City, featured in Return of the King. Now, as a longtime Lord of the Rings fan, this has been one of my top dream locations that I was really hoping LEGO would actually do a set for. And long and behold, in the big 2026, we have finally gotten that exact set. Now, of course, this set has been leaked since like March, so the knowledge of this set has been there for a while. But it wasn't until I think just last month that we got the official announcement that this was gonna come in June. So, I said to my friend 2 years ago, I said if LEGO was ever to do a set on Minas Tirith, I would be there day one to cop it. And long behold, on June 1st, best believe, I was at the LEGO store at the crack of dawn to get my hands on this magnificent beauty. Now, the set has generated quite a bit of conversation in the LEGO community, so we can probably debunk a little bit of those conversations, but this is my in-depth review of this glorious Minas Tirith set. And of course, this does come with the gift with purchase, which is Grond, the battle ram, and we will look at that as well. I thought about doing this as a separate review of its own, but you know what? It's related to this set, so I might as well do it in this video as well. But that being said, I should stop yapping. We should probably dive into it because there is a lot to look at. So this is gonna be like a 1 hour review if I don't get started now. So let's get started. All right, going in for the deep dive now. Let's take a look. So you'll notice, yeah, there is space to put your minifigs, but because it is micro scale, it is a bit hard to actually fit a ton of them. You could put like 1 or 2, but if you want to line up a whole army, that might be a little tough, because obviously you can look at some of the houses. These are definitely micro scale, and obviously, you know, they will be a lot bigger if you want to actually have a minifigure be able to go inside these things. Now you'll notice a lot of the prints on these pieces, those black dots, those are supposed to be windows for the houses. These are supposed to be buildings. And obviously, because this is micro scale, that's probably the best way they could do it. Obviously, you can't go any smaller than that, so that's probably how they work with the scale. And you can see some of the trebuchets. These are just simple like Technic arm pieces. Now obviously in the actual movie, you know, these are massive catapults that flung a ton of debris of their own city, by the way, and they were throwing the debris back at the orcs. Now obviously translated into the sets, obviously these are following the micro scale, which honestly this works because it means you don't have to build a ton of trebuchet builds and then slap them onto the sets. And this is just straightforward as it gets, so I love it. Sometimes you just want things to be simple, and they have it here luckily. So you can see the trebuchets are basically not on the outer wall. You'll see that most of the trebuchets are in the interior walls as it stacks up. So this level, this level, this level, up to the top. Now obviously there's a lot more levels in the actual city. This is the best they could do with micro scale. So you just use your imagination if you wanted to add more levels, or of course use more pieces. Now, one of the main things I actually really like about the set is the texture, because the texture really helps with the look. Now, obviously you have this big iconic ridge. This is kind of like the slice of the mountain that they built this entire city into. And this is honestly the iconic feature of the whole city architecture as a whole. Now translated into the sets, what LEGO has essentially done is just slap a bunch of these tile pieces. These are really, really nice pieces, and obviously these are not like super rare pieces. These are pretty common, so you know these are replaceable. I do like what they've done here with the rooftop tile pieces here just to create the sharp, quote unquote, sharp edge, but it's not actually sharp. And I do like the little bit of brown. It's actually, sorry, not brown, it's more beige. It follows more of the sand beige color. That's done really nice. And then when you get to the top, you know, you have this part here, which is iconic in its own, because obviously this is where Denethor throws himself off while on fire. So this is an iconic spot. It is very small. I don't think you can fit a minifig there, but you could try to if you want to recreate that scene. Another feature of this big mountain slice ridge, I don't know the correct word for it, but parts of the city goes through it. So what they've done when building the city is carve out tunnels into the mountain slice. So you can actually, well, the idea is any people would just be able to walk through the tunnel in order to get to the other side. And they kept that for this set. So I'm glad they didn't neglect that. That is obviously a very important part of the city design. So they have successfully, very well translated into this set, might I add. So it's very nice. I do like it. It's subtle. It's not that noticeable, but it is a good attention to detail. So I guess we'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top. So number one, we have the front gate. So you can see this gate is using micro scale. So what they've done is they've used some of the micro minifig pieces. I guess these are like the action figure pieces. I don't really know the correct terminology, but these pieces are not new. However, in this olive green color, it's a very straightforward design. It looks very nice, very tacky. And the idea is you just open like that. Now, obviously, if you want to stick Grond in front of here and just bash the gate open, it works. I'll show that in a second when I get on Grond. But you know, it opens and closes very smoothly. You know, just give it a little push. It's a very smooth design. And obviously just using common pieces to create this, it works. It looks great. Now, you'll notice on the ridge here, they actually use one of these bendable axle pieces. That's a cool attention to detail. And actually that's a good use of an existing element. Now, let's take a look at the outer walls here. And you'll notice that obviously you have the outpost towers here. These aren't really detailed, but then again, these are micro scale after all. So they just work with just the basic look, and that's honestly fine. If you really want this to be detailed, they're probably gonna have to use a bunch of printed pieces or a bunch of stickers. It will just add to the budget. But you can see it's different. It's different on this side and this side, so there's not really much repetition going on. So there is some variety going on with each side. So on our right here, we have one of the houses here. It's a very straightforward micro build, but it looks elegant. I do like the green rooftop. It looks like it's dark green on camera, but it is actually the same olive green color. All the green you see is going to be the same olive green color. I don't know why the camera is picking this up a lot darker. It could be the lighting. If we look at the outside walls, you know, most of this is sand, but obviously the city is built on a grass field. It's the Pelennor Fields after all, but obviously I think if we had grass, it would look a little awkward. So to have this like sand base makes more sense. It just kind of feels a little wrong. It just looks like this is built on a desert where it's not, but I think this is the best they can do with matching the Pelennor grass, if you will. There are some small little pieces, like for example, these green tiles. These are just there just to add to the detail. You can see that we have some of the bulkier pillar sections here, so that's really nice. There are stuff behind the wall, but I feel like I would be able to show you it a lot better if I dissect it. If I take the wall out, I can probably show you what's on the other side. So let's just finish looking at the exterior first. So we have, these are supposed to be like little wall ridges, and of course the idea is the archers would stick out between the gaps here to fire arrows at the enemy, and they would get behind this to protect them from returning fire. Very nice. Again, very small, straightforward pieces just because this is micro scale. So it looks great. We have another bell tower. This is a full bell tower. I'm not sure if you can actually see the bell inside. Yes, this is supposed to be a bell tower. I guess this is to like give the warning if an enemy advances. It's a very nice build. Now, of course, we will look at the interior and everything else behind the wall, but obviously I'm gonna have to take apart the set to do that. So let's just move up look at all the levels first, and then we'll dissect the sets. So, level 2. As I just showed you already, we have the trebuchets and everything here, but it's just mainly just a walkway, another entrance to a house. This is another tower. Yes, this is a different tower. So you can see this is one build. This is the other build. So 2 very different looking towers. That's very nice. And just a couple more houses here in the back. Micro houses. So this is the other tower. This is a more lankier, taller tower. I do like this tower more. And especially as a micro build, it does look better. When things are not that fat, they actually look a little better. It actually has more attention to detail because of the different amount of pieces that they actually use to build this. So that's pretty nice. We have a little balcony at the back here. This is more minifig friendly. You could stick a whole minifig there. It looks more realistic in terms of like an actual building. When we get to the top, you can see this actually looks like a courthouse. Like it's got that like courthouse feel to it. That looks pretty nice. And another trebuchet, more buildings here. You can see another tunnel to go through it. Then we advance up. This is nearing the top. It's just all tiny pieces. I assume this is the beacon. Obviously, we have the scene where Pippin lights the beacon, and of course, the beacons are what calls the Rohirrim to come help, to come fight. But this definitely looks more like a fire pit inside a beacon type thing. So this, to me, looks more like the beacon. Okay, now we are actually nearing the top. So of course, this level itself is an icon in the entire city itself. And obviously this is scaled down a lot to make it micro scale. But you can see there is still a couple key important things. So for example, up here on the ledge, I do like what they've done with like the railing here. Adding these little bumps, this actually helps with the texture and actually looks really elegant. It looks pretty smooth. I dig it. I definitely dig it. Now I showed you this already. Now this is probably where you can put the most minifigs. There is space here if you want to recreate the coronation scene. Might be a little hard with a big crowd. As we advance to the back, you can see that there is a fountain and there is a tree. This is of course the garden that's in front of the palace. Now this is the White Tree of Gondor. I forgot the actual name of it, someone let me know. But of course, this tree is quite literally the symbol of Gondor. They have this tree as their flag design and it's all over their armor too. So this tree is an iconic landmark for Gondor. And this tree, of course, is featured in the movies a lot as well. So obviously it's not super detailed. You know, the most they've done is really just a bunch of your simple vine / bark pieces. Now next to the tree is the fountain. I don't think this fountain was ever really mentioned that much. It was just a kind of a aesthetic type thing, but the fountain looks nice. Granted, I do feel like this fountain is a little bit too big because we're already quite tight on space up here. So I just feel like this fountain could be a lot smaller. There's really no need for it to be that big. I'd rather have more space up here to put more minifigs, and that fountain is just really in the way. So if it was up to me, I'd say I would scale the fountain down. Now we get to the back, we have the main palace itself. Now, of course, the interior of this palace is reflected in the back of this set. Hence, the interior is the palace, the throne room. But of course, you know, using your imagination, this is the outside of the palace. Gandalf and Pippin would have just come out of here frustrated about Denethor's reluctance to do anything about the incoming threats. A lot of your imagination is required for this set just because of this mix between micro and minifig scale. I do like the little, kind of like the little interior design here with just like the houses here. This gives like the Rivendell type vibe where you have the columns. This has that like exterior cover type feel. And on this side, this is of course the tallest point of the set, and it's really straightforward. They just use your everyday common pieces. Of course, most of it in white, just tiles. I do like how they use like the katana blades here to add to the texture. See, that's another good use of an existing part. And then it just ends with this antenna at the top. So the tower is the finishing point here. And overall, like I said, this whole thing, micro scale. But they do not shy on the details, despite everything being micro scale. it still looks elegant, and of course, it's also very budget friendly. So that's pretty much the exterior. So let's look at the inside of the set now. All right, so let's take a look at the interior. Now, you may notice I am using my portable camera for this. It's just easier for a set this big. It's just easier to stick the camera inside the build actually for you guys to see everything inside. Transporting this, good luck with that. You're probably gonna need to either A, remove the set layer by layer as they actually have the design for that, where you can actually take off different levels of the sets. That will probably help with transporting, or you could risk it and slide this thing onto a big wooden sheet or something and have a buddy help you out. It's still a hassle to turn the set around. It's too heavy for my turntable, so I'm gonna just let it stay put and we will move the camera rather than moving the sets. Now, obviously, most of the interior here, as you can quite see, it's all in the back. So, you know, the main problem with a lot of Lego sets in the past is that they always leave the back hollow, empty, unfinished. They don't do that for this set. This set is quite full from the back. There's a whole new world of this set from the back. Now, if you put this up against a shelf, this will probably be blocked because obviously you'll have this against the wall. This entire section, you probably won't be able to access it. As I mentioned earlier, this is the throne room. This is supposed to be in the palace up top. So this building right here, this building in the back at the very top, inside this building is supposed to be this room. So you gotta use your imagination here. You really have to use your imagination here because this is how they work around the size of the set and also to keep it budget friendly. So this is of course designed well with the intention of putting all your minifigs in here. The throne there is very much minifig scale. You can sit Aragorn on there comfortably. And of course, the stewardship chair, Denethor's chair. You can also put him quite comfortably on there in front of the table where he eats his tomatoes. Now, of course, this is an iconic scene in itself. You could remove this table if you don't want it in the way, so you can just take that off and you are left with just enough space. You can put Denethor there, you can put Gandalf and Pippin here to recreate the scene. I also forgot to mention, you can slide the throne. I believe you can remove the throne. Yep, like that. So if you want to, I guess you just want the throne build itself, you can very much do that. But that also gives you access to the interior here, so you can see the full wall art and everything else behind it. There's really not much behind it other than two doorways. They don't lead anywhere, it's just empty inside there. I think that's just so you can clean this a lot easier because dust will probably get in here, so just by removing this easily, it's probably easier to clean the dust off when the time comes. But that also gives you a clearer, closer look at the throne build itself. You can see the steps going up to the throne. They've got some black tiles to contrast it, and you can see Denethor's chair right next to it. So you could technically put another one on the left if you wanted to. There's enough space for that. And yeah, there you go. So that's the throne build. I do like these statues of the old Gondorian kings. This is really nice. Great attention to detail with the stickers. You can see that's quite literally the Gondor logo. I do like what they've done here. We're using the Sensei Wu beard for the beard. It's actually, it fits, it works. I find that really funny and a great use of the piece there. So you've got one on this side, and then on the other side here, another same exact statue, just facing a different way. Same print on the tile piece of that Gondor tree. Very, very nice. And then what I actually find interesting is this. Are these supposed to be tables? Because not only do we have one here, we also have one on this side as well. So we've got one on both sides. Not quite sure what's the deal with those. Maybe it adds to the look. And you can kind of see the back of the wall here. And then inside you can see a little campfire, a little fireplace there. And of course we will look at the wall more in a bit. You can see the same thing on this side here. Now for the actual throne itself, it is a really nice build, but it's also very straightforward. You can see behind the throne, there is this kind of wall design, wall pattern, and it just uses a bunch of vine pieces. All these vine pieces are in plain white, and it just creates this mosaic art. You know, it looks really nice. You don't actually see the whole thing because the throne is kind of just blocking it. but it adds like a nice little background type look to it, and I really like it. And I also really like the black pillars. They contrast the white so well, and they've just done a brilliant job using these tiny pieces to make these details. And it looks so good. I also really like the chandelier. I think this is a chandelier. Then goes all the way from the top up here. Like this is the ceiling. This is probably the ugliest part of the whole set, but most of you will not be able to see this anyways when this set is on display. But this chandelier is just made with this long gold rod, and then at the very end, you just put 4 of the shield pieces. That's it. What a great use of an existing piece. You wouldn't think a shield will be looking good as a chandelier, but this is another example. They've also done that with making a lot of the chairs in Rivendell with hot dog pieces. So this is just another prime example of using pieces for a completely different purpose. And this just looks fantastic. Now, another example of that, as you can see up here, is the use of these gold clam shell pieces. Now, obviously, there are no clams in Minas Tirith, but the whole point of these shell pieces is just to add to a ceiling design. You can also see behind the gold shells are, again, shields. If you look closer, those silver shield pieces, those are your average shields for your knights, for your medieval set, and they use that as a ceiling tile. And that just looks really, really good. It's super creative on their end, and I've never seen these gold shell pieces before, so these are new to me. I'm quite sure these are used in older sets, and it's just a great use of it. It looks so good. Like this is as creative as it can get. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, you can also see this ridge. This ridge uses these star pieces. I think these were first used in LEGO Friends sets. Again, great usage of other pieces. And then as we go to this side, I will of course remove the top so you can actually take a closer look, but this is one of the rooms. This is a bedroom actually. And then on this side is the library. And we do have that brief scene in the Fellowship of the Ring where Gandalf actually goes to Minas Tirith briefly, and he goes into this library to find some texts to read about the One Ring. But we will take a closer look at those 2 rooms in a second because we gotta dissect the set. There are multiple layers to it. Now, real quick, before we do that, I do want to show you the table here. So, of course, this table is infamous for that scene where Denethor is just yamming at a chicken and some tomatoes while his own and last son, Faramir, is being sent to the front lines to a guaranteed fail mission. And Denethor is just neglecting that duty as a father and just eating tomatoes while Pippin sings that, I forgot what the name of that song is, but Pippin sings that really, really beautiful song. This is that table with those tomatoes and the chicken drumstick. Not a full chicken, just a drumstick, and of course the cup for the wine. So it's a very straightforward build. It looks exactly like what you would expect from the movie. These tomatoes just loosely sit in the bowl, so try not to slide this around too much because it will just slide out. Exactly, I can't even put it back in now. And you can see the legs of this table is built with more of the wine cups. My brain farted. I don't know the exact name of these wine cups. I know they have a name. I just can't remember right now. Yeah, these might be called chalice. I don't know. Someone correct me in the comments. But that's, again, another good use of the part, using the gold chalices to make the legs of the table. And all you got to do to connect it is put it on one of these studs. Boom. Now the table is loosely secured in front of the chair for Denethor to feast, and you can have Pippin, of course, stand here to sing him the song. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the interior. Again, this is the minifig scale part of the sets. You can very well tell. Like, it's great how the designers of this set made it that so there's a clear difference where it's micro scale and then where it's minifig scale, and this just adds to it. They did not shy on the interior design, and it looks fantastic. Right, now let us dissect the set. The designers are brilliant for this. They've made it so you can actually take the set off level by level. It makes accessing the interior easier. But most importantly, when you're transporting the sets, you just gotta carry it section by section, because God forbid, this is one heavy set to carry by itself. You are not guaranteed to not drop this thing. So thank God they have this feature where you can break it down. So how do we break it down? Well, we start from the top. This just slides off very easily. So first things first, the top level. So this comes off, very, very nice. Just like that. Like a big pizza slice almost. And this can just slide back on super easily. The connection point is just like a couple studs here to hold this in place, but also easy to take off. So that is really nice. This is the tricky part. You can't remove the entire section here because it's all connected with the mountain bridge here. This is holding the two levels together, but what you can remove is the side builds. So you just gotta put a little bit of force and this whole thing just slides off like that. Nice and smooth. That's another section. And the same thing for this side. Just gently pull and boom, another piece, another section. Slide that right off. What you're left with now is access to the library and the bedroom. Those are the only two main features of this level. So let's show you the bedroom and the library. So there you go, a much closer and detailed view. So you can see it's as straightforward as it gets. You know, the bed is really nice. He just uses a bunch of tiny pieces to make a detailed design to it. And then you have the bedside table with, I believe that looks like a cup of coffee. That's an interesting looking cup, that's for sure. And then we just have a random chair on this side. And then on this side, you can see this is kind of just like a, what do you even call it? A table, a shelf. There's candles, there's another chalice, and I believe that's a mirror. I don't know, this is a really, really medieval like cupboard slash table there. You can see now with the library, this is really where you can see some of the details come in. I really like what they've done with some of the tile builds there to actually make it look like a huge stack of papers. That's a great attention to detail. And the way you build them, it looks realistic. It looks believable. Right next to it is a big candle. And then on this side, we have a scroll. I believe that's the scroll that Gandalf actually reads. And you can see on the tile, it's very, very tiny. I don't even know if you can pick it up, but I'll do my best. On that tile, I believe is the actual scroll talking about the One Ring. And you can see a quill and ink little build there. And where the scroll is, another small candle, of course. There's no such thing as modern lighting in Middle-earth. And then looking at it from this angle, you can see the 3 big bookshelves. These are really nice detailed builds. They just used a bunch of different colored tile pieces to do this. And these just look like completely believable bookshelves. These look fantastic. I love it. It looks great. And we have one tucked all the way on this side. It's a little hard to film that. And then right in front of it, you can see is the actual book. And honestly, in terms of like interior builds, this library definitely gets the credit for being the most detailed interior build, because this just looks great. This looks fantastic. I'm very, very happy with it. Now, obviously there's not a lot of space in there. The most you can fit is Gandalf. I doubt you can put any other minifig in there. Now, obviously you don't have to put Gandalf, but I'm just saying for the realistic recreation of the scene, Gandalf would make sense. In fact, I think the bedroom is more spacious than the library, which is kind of ironic. So I feel like if it was up to me, I'd reverse the builds. I would put the library here and then the bedroom here, because this is a really small space for a library. So there's that. And then the last piece that's removable is the entire outer wall. So you're left with the big build, the walls, and then the roof pieces. So your best way of transporting this is, of course, removing the walls and then carrying this whole piece first, and then reattach the walls. So how do you do that? How do you detach the walls? Simple. They are all just connected by simple axle pins. Just gotta pull at the connecting points and it all just slides out nice and smooth. Like this. See? Now, what makes it even better is that obviously this is a really long piece. Carrying this alone is quite a hassle. So you can break this down into 3 different sections as well. So you pull up this part, It's all connected by just a ball socket, so it comes out very easily. So that's one part. And then, there you go, just like that. So you got the front gate, the left wall, and the right wall. Just this section alone is still very, very heavy. Oh man, that's gonna be tough. There we go. You see what I mean? This is not an easy thing to carry. Oh my god, that was a workout. Now what you're left with is 3 main pieces for the walls, the outer walls. So obviously we showed you the exterior already, but we haven't shown you the interior. So first section here, of course, is the middle section. Turn that around. You can see there's some details in the back. For example, with the floor. This is a really nice floor design. Not quite sure what the actual symbol is, but needless to say, these are some pretty good usage of tile pieces. And speaking of tile pieces, you can see they've used the minifig plates that you get from the CMFs. Now we have the 2 walls. I guess we'll look at the left wall first. This is the left wall. So we've seen the outside. Let's look at the interior. Wow, you can see all the hidden details here. So you would not have been able to see all that if this was still attached to the main build. You kind of have to take this out to actually look and appreciate the builds that are going on here. There's a lot of details happening here. So where do we even begin? I guess the stairs to the walls here, this is kind of where you can line up your soldiers. Now, this set only includes 4 Gondor soldiers. If you spread them out, yeah, you can fit them. But if you really want to put a whole army, that might be a little tough. Because as you can see, there's not a lot of space for the wall here. Like you can put one here, you can put one here, maybe one here, but that's about it. You can't have a whole row of soldiers, of archers there. It's a little bit claustrophobic there, but that's because this is a micro scale, so everything is toned down here. So it do be like that. Now we go further down, we can see some of the armory. So we have a sword storage here. We have just a random flower. We have another statue there with that olive green micro build piece, micro figure piece. Just a random barrel here. I guess maybe it's for garbage. Maybe it's to put weapons. Maybe it's to cool down newly forged swords. We do have a nice little lamp up here. We do also have a campfire or a fireplace up here. So that's really nice. And then we have a little water fountain. Of course, the people of Gondor do need water. So this is one of the wells. I think it's a well. Or this is where animals drink. And then another part of the armory. This one, this time has not just swords, but this also has spears. So that's really nice. And then just a random plant at the very end. Not quite sure what that plant is. Could be a cactus. I don't know, just something to fill the space. I guess that's the best they can do. I mean, what could you put there to fill the space? This is probably the more armory part of the city. This is probably where all the forging for weapons happens here, because on the other wall is way more civilized, is way more friendly for civilians instead of soldiers. So this is the right wall. As you can see, most of the stuff here is farming related. Starting off with here, this looks like a proper drinking fountain or drinking well. And we have a bench here. This is a really nice undercover part here of this build here. So that's really nice. You can sit a minifig there. You know, just someone just randomly enjoying their day in Minas Tirith. Another one of those funky looking plants. No crate here, but we do have a barrel here with a piece of fish in there. And then we just have a bunch of produce lined up here. We got cabbage, we got the tomatoes for Denethor to munch on, and we have some carrots in this crate. And just a random little chicken. I do like my Lego animals, and I know it's hella random to just include a chicken, but it makes sense. You know, I'm pretty sure farm animals existed in Middle Earth. And then we just have a cart here, a wheelbarrow full of hay for a horse to tug along. Unfortunately, the only horse we have in the set is Shadowfax, but you can imagine just a random horse could probably tow this and deliver hay to other animals. So as you can quite see, this part of the wall is not really meant to be for the soldiers. There is literally no stairs for the soldiers to climb up to get to the wall up here. So you kind of just have to just use your imagination that the soldiers can climb the walls and just go up here. Again, not a lot of space to put a whole row of archers, but there's actually, realistically speaking, and that's the funny part of this section is that there's more space to put more soldiers here than there is on the other wall. You can put maximum like 3 soldiers here. And just to remind you that this is what the wall looks like on the outside. So these are the wall builds. These obviously go to the front of the set. So these are very, very portable. Before we move on, there's just one more thing I want to show you. And that is these little builds. Now I already showed you when they were still attached to the set, but here they are detached, just so you know. These are meant to slide back and forth. Now obviously you've already seen these 2 builds when they were still attached to the set. Now obviously removing them gave me access to the bedroom and the library, but there are still some important details in these 2 builds, believe it or not. These are actually hidden Easter eggs that you would not been able to see if these remained attached onto the build. This section, we have a firewood storage. You can see there's a torch there. This is just, I guess, for the beacon. You know, the beacon is just a big campfire thing after all, so they do need logs for that campfire. You know, it's just your everyday printed pieces for the logs. Pretty sure you can get these from your Lego City sets, so these are nothing too significant. Now, the other wall is where it gets interesting. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, it's great to see fire logs and all, but this has a more interesting Easter egg. And that is this. Right here, we've got, I forgot what the actual name for this. It's the Palantir. I think it's called a Palantir. Regardless, this is a communication ball with Sauron. Now, Saruman had that, and that's how he uses to keep in touch with Sauron. But this is great, because inside there's an actual minifig head printed piece with the Eye of Sauron on there. So, technically speaking, if you wanted to make an Eye of Sauron minifig, you could with this minifig head piece. It's really, really straightforward. You would not be able to see this if you didn't take this out of the build. And I can't really show you this part. It's a little bit hard to see, but inside is just another fire log type build. There's nothing really interesting going on there. But hold on, we're not done here, because if you actually take the Palantir out, so from the front, you can only just see the Eye of Sauron. But when you turn this around, you can see what could potentially be a teaser for the next set, the next big Lord of the Rings set. Now that is a man riding a horse. So that very much entails that the next set could be related to Rohan. Hopefully it's Edoras. Maybe it's Helm's Deep. Maybe it's the Oliphants. There is a leak that the Oliphants are coming, so it low-key could be that set. It matches up because we do have this right here. But this is a really neat Easter egg. Something, again, it's so hidden, you actually have to put the effort to take it out in order to actually find it. That actually covers the entire build, the entire main set. So I think we can move on to the minifigs. Okay, let's take a look at the minifigures included in this set. Now we actually do have a pretty interesting, but in my opinion, a little bit of a small selection for this set, especially with this being a $900 plus set. I would kind of have wished for more minifigs, but this is what we get. And none of them are really like filler minifigs. These are actually all important to this set. So let's take a closer look. So first up, I absolutely want to take a look at this first, and that is of course Gandalf and Shadowfax. Now of course, this is Gandalf the White in his pure form. Shadowfax is the Lord of all horses, and it's a pretty good combo. I think the mold for Shadowfax is not new whatsoever. I'm pretty sure it's just your average horse mold. I want to say I probably have seen this specific color from somewhere else. As I expected, nothing has changed for this mold. You can still move the back leg so you can stand him up if you like, or have him, you know, run. This actually makes him look like he's running and he's actually full charging. Or if you want him to stand like this, that works. So this one articulation gives him both options. It's still a bit stiff, I'll give you that. That's because it's still new. Just play with it a bit and I'm pretty sure eventually it will loosen up. But there you go, dip his head down. Dip his head back up. Yeah, maybe I just gotta fiddle with him a little more, and then eventually the joints won't be so stiff. And then they do have this 2x1 brick in the middle, and that's to fill his back, because you can take this out and put Gandalf on it to ride him. The thing is, Gandalf has white legs, so it actually doesn't look awkward on Shadowfax. It looks like he's sitting on him just fine. However, the reason they have this is because without it, you just have this awkward gap on Shadowfax, and that looks really weird. So you have this to fill it up. There you go, then he looks complete. So I'm glad that they do that for most of their horses now. Instead of actually making a saddle piece. I understand making a whole saddle piece requires more budgeting because you have to make a whole new mold for it. So this is a lot better. Plus, Gandalf never had a saddle on Shadowfax. He just rode Shadowfax naturally. Overall, good horse, good mold. Now, in terms of Gandalf himself, I do have the OG Gandalf the White from the very old Lord of the Rings sets. And to see a modern version of this minifig is really nice because it's a definitely great reset. Don't get me wrong, the OG Gandalf the White is great, but this one definitely has way more updated details. There's more updated printings on it, and of course you have his staff, you have his sword in your hand. This cape is using the soft fabric cape. I prefer these capes way over the old hard capes, those hard, like, what even is the material? Is it leather? And overall, the yellow printing on it, you know, at first I thought this was sun damage, but it's not. It's just his robes have a more yellow color to contrast his overall white. Now, of course, he's got a lot of hair and beard. Doesn't have a second face. I'm not going to take off the beard, but you know, it's just your standard old man face. And overall, very good minifig. Next up, we got Pippin here in his armor, in the Gondorian armor. Very, very nice. Now, Pippin is the only hobbit that was present at Minas Tirith, so it makes sense that he's only included in this set. One thing I actually really like is the attention to the detail on his legs. So there's two colors on his tiny legs. Remember, these are the tiny legs, the shorter legs. Usually they just stick with one color scheme and call it a day. But here, they dual molded it with, well, actually no, not dual molded. They dual printed it. And you have the upper part, which is dark blue, and then you have the skin color on his actual feet. So I like that. I like that they actually put the effort to dual paint this. So that's really, really nice. The dual print looks really, really solid. And they need to do more of that for a lot of other like short characters, short minifigs. They need to do that going forward. Now, he does use the older material for the cape here. So Gandalf has the more soft fabric. This one's the more rough sandpaper-like fabric. He's got a sword, and does he have two faces? He does have two faces. There you go. There's his second face, and then there's his like more cheapishly face. I wish one of his alternate faces is him singing, so you can actually recreate the scene of him singing To the Edge of the Night to Denethor, since the throne room exists on this set. If they have him singing as one of the alternate faces, there you go. You can easily put him beside the Denethor table and recreate that scene. Next up, we have Faramir, captain of the Gondorian Rangers. And of course, we have his brother Boromir in Rivendell. So if you have Rivendell, you can technically complete the whole family, because this set has Faramir and their father, Denethor. This was not the color scheme I was expecting him to have in Lego form. Like his cape, I don't think his cape is that green in the movie. Now, in Return of the King, he does wear Gondorian armor at one point. But before that, he was wearing his ranger outfit, but I don't think it looked like this. So, might be slightly inaccurate, but it is Lego after all. They are going to try their best to make it accurate. But I just feel like it could use a little bit more accuracy. And this cape is also using the old hard fabric material. It's alright. I think it's literally the same one as the one Pippin has, but bigger. I do like the collar he has that covers the shirt, so it covers the tree print, so that's a cool attention to detail. Leg printing as well. Very nice. And then you have his long hair. He does have, of course, a second face. Just a quick fun fact I'm going to throw in here. I have met him. Technically, I have met this guy. I have met the actor who plays him. I will link that in the description for you to watch after watching this review. And you can find out about my experience meeting Faramir himself. Next up, it only makes sense to follow up with his father, Denethor, the character that everybody loves because he's such a great father. This one looks super accurate to what he actually looks like in the movie, unlike Faramir. This one actually looks like a one-to-one translation from his live action look into a Lego minifigure, and that looks really good. I do like the black, what do you call it, robe he has. He does have like chainmail underneath, I believe, so that's nice. He doesn't have a sword. Even though he does have a sword on his belt, he actually never uses it because he never bothered fighting. So I guess it makes sense that Lego didn't give him a sword here. That's totally fine. He's got his iconic long gray hair. And does he have a second face? Let's find out. He does. This looks like a terrified face. So he's got like a neutral face and a terrified face. They should have one of his alternate faces be like a smirk, because he or like a depressed look, because he's grieving over the loss of Boromir at this point. So I think this is a pretty solid minifig. I think he looks great. Next up, we've got the happy couple and the freshly crowned King Aragorn. This was probably like the best day for Aragorn. Bro became king and he got to marry the love of his life. These two are integral characters to this set. Arwen's got this like huge banner thing, and that's accurate because she does have this huge banner thing in the actual scene. I guess she uses that to hide herself, so there's a more dramatic reveal of her to Aragorn. But it's such a crispy, clean fabric piece here. This is so nice. This is so nice. I love this banner. I wish we got more of this in this set. There's a shine that's reflecting off like the silver bits of this, and just the overall art, the overall design on this thing is amazing. I love it. It's great. It's way too big for her, but since it's so big, we gotta remove it aside so I can actually show you the Arwen minifig. So here she is. Very nice. She's got the skirt, the robe legging piece. Most of the printing actually comes from her shoulders on both sides, but you can't really see it because of the hair pieces. She has long hair, obviously, with her elf ears, and it kind of just covers all that printing, so you don't really see it, but that's okay. Here's her alternate face, just her happily smiling, very, very happy. And also, this is a really nice mold for this hairpiece. It's soft plastic, it's really nice, but as you can see, once I put it on, it kind of just covers all the printing. Now this is definitely my favorite minifig of the selection here. King Aragorn. And what's great about this Aragorn is that he uses the new armor plate that's also used for the Gondor soldiers on here. Obviously his has got a unique print on it, more royal looking, obviously because he's a king. And I do like the gold printing on it. It looks really, really nice. And the cape, I think this cape is the same one used for Moff Gideon, if I'm not mistaken. And then he's got the, what's the sword called? The Sword of Elendil. The sword he reforges. This is the actual sword that Isildur uses. What's the name? Someone let me know in the comments. And then on his hair, you've got the crown molded onto the hair, so that's really, really nice. And he does have an alternate face. This is kind of a more stern look, so that's pretty nice. And you have this neutral look here. Now, I am considering if I want to take off the chest plate or not. Probably not, actually, because there's actually not much underneath. It's just your average row printing. I think having the chest piece on adds to it, so if it was up to me, I would not take off the chest piece. And I would recommend anyone who has this set to keep the chest piece on for this Aragorn, because overall, the chest piece adds to it. And the fact that it's a new mold, it makes this minifig look unique. So I dig it. So that's why this is my favorite minifig. All right, finally, but definitely not the least, this is probably the most talked about bunch of the lineup, which are these Gondor soldiers. Now, obviously, there's a lot more. There's a lot of soldiers. Obviously, there's a huge army, but in this set, there are only 4 included, which, in my opinion, is way too little. We could use an extra 4. In fact, we could have had 8. You know what? Yeah, we could have doubled this. 4 is definitely kind of underwhelming, especially with how big this set is. You want enough soldiers scattered throughout the build. Unfortunately, we only have 4, but 4 really good ones. Like I said with the Aragorn, the armor is new.
They are new molds for this set. I really like it. The Aragorn chest plate is obviously more detailed. It's got the gold details and everything. So obviously with the soldiers here, it's more plain. It does have the tree printing on it. It's kind of hard to pick it up on camera. Hopefully you can see it. It's really dark, so it's a little bit difficult to see. But as you can see, it's like one big armor piece that just covers the entire torso, and it's just so elegant. And then you have the helmet, which is also new, part of the new mold. It just fits them so perfectly. They do have two faces as well, so here's a more battle ready face, here's a more neutral face. And then with the shield, you can see the tree on it as well. So that's the Gondor flag, that's their pride and joy, that's their symbol. Very nice. Again, it feels like a high quality piece. Obviously the spear is nothing special, it's an everyday spear, but of course the shield, the armor, that's really the drawing factor here. And then you have some leg printing at the bottom, so that's nice. So like I said, you have 4 of these, and I believe these 2 are the same. These guys, I see a slight difference in which the head color is a little different. Okay, these 2 have different heads. This one's got a little of a darker skin tone for his head and different faces as well. So these are 2 completely new people. These guys look more battle ready. Oh, this one is different. This one doesn't have an alternate face. So we have technically 3 different types of soldiers. These, I believe, are definitely the drawing factors of this set. Obviously, the main characters are great, but genuinely speaking, these are the first ever Gondor soldiers. I don't think there's ever been Gondor soldiers in old sets and stuff. Literally, just from first impression, I already love these guys. Like, the armor is just so clean. It's so nice. We need more of these. Why do we only have 4? Well, anyways, that wraps up all the minifigs.
And of course, I gotta show you guys the box, because that itself is also very big. Damn, this thing is heavy, even with all the pieces out. Here it is. It is quite a big box. I can't even describe just from words. Obviously, you can see it, but it's a very big box. It's more on the wide side than an actual width. That's how they actually make up for the space, because obviously this being such a wide box, you can put all the pieces in, so there's no need for this huge, super wide box. Now, I don't know if this will solve anything in terms of storage. Unless you throw away your Lego boxes, good luck finding storage for this, because I think honestly, the long width would have been better, because you can just slide that into closet spaces. This is quite big. You're probably gonna have to put this in like the crawl space or the attic or something, because this is a thick box. It's also really heavy. Now, let me show you the details of the outside in a second. I mainly want to show you what you get on the inside, because trust me, the unboxing is an experience of its own. When you first cut the tape and open the lid, you are greeted with 3 interior boxes. So what you can see is basically the blueprint of the set. And what I really like about this is it's designed so the boxes are stacked in order. So when you're sorting through the bags, you know which box to crack into first. So it goes from bottom to up, because that's how the whole build process works. You start from the bottom and you build all the way to the top. So based on each box, you just base it off where to start, where to finish. So this is really nice. Once you stack them all, you have the whole build up here. It looks really nice, don't get me wrong. And I am one of those people who do keeps their Lego boxes. And I think with a design like this, you gotta keep the box, especially if you intend to sell the set one day. You need the box. And this is a perfect way for them to organize all the big 60+ bags that this set has. For a true comparison, here's me, and here's the box. I'm not even fully in frame, and this box is still huge. At least the box is in frame. Let's zoom in. Let's take a look at this box a little closer.
So it's your standard black box set. I mean, that's how Lego markets their big 18+ sets now. It looks elegant. It looks like something a kid can definitely not afford. So it makes sense that this is a 18+ set. We have city name, movie name, Lego logo. This is part of the Icon series, but honestly, at this point, this should just be Lord of the Rings. Set 11377 with 8,278 pieces. Now imagine this was minifig scale. Here's this side, just another angle of the front of the model with some of our characters lined up. And then on this side, just another angle of the model, this time overlooking from the top down. And you can see we have Gandalf on Shadowfax running towards the gate with Pippin awaiting him at the gate and Faramir just running up, catching up to Pippin. I guess he's also wanting to greet Gandalf. And then here's the top. I do have to hold my finger there because if I let go, the lid just drops. So I'm gonna have to hold it in place. But on the top, you can just see all the minifigs included in the set. I do like how they do this. They actually have a specific photo dedicated to all the minifigs so you know what you're getting before you even pay for the set. That's very nice. Now granted, there is a lot of space up here, so that's what I'm saying. They could very well stick a couple more minifigs in here. You know what I'm saying? They definitely got the space here. We could have used a few more Gondor soldiers, wouldn't hurt. And then here's the bottom for those who actually care. And then here is the back. Now obviously this is where most of the stuff is shown. So obviously they show you the measurements of the set. So they have the dimensions up there, so you can bring your measuring tape back home, measure out your storage space to make sure you can actually put this set on your shelf. Actually, I like that they do that. So they actually have the measurements. You can actually do some research before actually buying the set. That's actually quite smart. And then this shows you all the different parts of the model that you can detach. Obviously, we showed you that earlier. And then here we just have the back of the model, so you can actually see the interior build. So I'm glad that they advertise that. They don't hide it. They let you know that there is an interior build. So that's really, really nice. And then just a couple very nice scenic shots of minifigs in different scenarios on the build. Very nice. I do like these. These are nice little additions just to show you the potential you can have with this set. All you gotta do is pay $900 for it. As I said in the beginning of this video, we will also be taking a look at the gift with purchase. So we will now do that before we get to the final verdicts. So the gift with purchase is the iconic battle ram named Grond. It was of course featured to bash down the big gate because the orcs could not penetrate the gate. So they brought in the big gun here, big Grond, the big wolf head to knock the gate down. And this gift with purchase was only available within the first release week of the set. So here's the box. Pretty straightforward box, but you cannot purchase this separately. So it includes the big build and of course 2 orc minifigs. So let's take a closer look. So one thing you'll immediately notice is that this is obviously not minifig scale. This is also micro scale, and that's just because it needs to match the actual gate for it to knock down. This entire thing is brick built. I really like it. Granted, I think it will look more realistic, it will look more accurate to its actual design if they used an actual like mold, an actual wolf head mold. Then that would actually have the more accurate look to what this thing looks like in the movie. But that would of course add budget because they'll have to spend extra money to produce that mold. So I can understand why they went with brick built. And honestly, brick built looks fine. But I much prefer molds, special molds over brick built like designs, especially when it comes to animal or creature like builds. And I usually have this critique for Ninjago. I think the brick built dragon heads are fine, but sometimes I just want to go back to the molded heads. They look more realistic, they look more believable. But I guess because this isn't an actual animal, this is a battering ram, it's sculpted anyway, so I guess it's fine that this thing is brick built. It looks a little goofy, yes, I'll give them that. The eyes look kind of, you know, a little bit silly, not really scary. But they do make it up for it by adding the flames on the cheeks, and that is accurate to the design of this battering ram. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here, especially as a gift with purchase. You know, you're not really exactly purchasing the set with your money, so we'll just take what we have, and this looks good. So the main components of this build is simply just using these 4 pillars. And then this whole thing, yes, this thing can be moved back and forth. There are wheels at the bottom, so this is really nice. You can push this back and forth. Now, obviously, this thing is not meant to be moved with speed. They had really big muscular trolls push this thing, so this is quite a heavy battering ram. I think that's what they needed to break down the gate. But I really like the feature that they use to actually make this battering ram swing. And remember, this is a pretty small, straightforward build. And the fact that they could incorporate such a unique play feature into this size of a model, I am sold. I think this is really brilliant. And so basically what you do is you can choose this side or this side, and these are essentially levers that will push the battering ram forward so it can actually, you know, bash the gate down. So you could obviously just grab the actual battering ram and knock the gate down, or use this to help create the swinging motion. And that is really, really nice. I love it. This looks great. So the idea is, here is the gate, the front gate. The idea is you roll up Grond to the front gate and you just bash the door down. I don't think there's actually enough reach. That's the funny part about this. I don't think there's enough reach for the battering ram to actually make contact with the door. It literally cannot touch the door because this is in the way. There's quite a bit of distance. There's a bit of steps from the ground to the door. That's actually, so you can't really, unless you put the battering ram all the way, I guess up here. This is as far as you can put it. Then, yeah, you can bash the door open. But if you're just from the ground, this thing literally cannot reach the door. That's actually kind of funny. There's a bit of friction on the door, so can't exactly just swing it open. You know, that is the intention. You know, it's all about the vision. You're gonna have to use your imagination, but there is a bit of friction on these doors, so even with, I'm swinging this at full power, by the way, and the door is just barely budging. Regardless, it's the gimmick that counts, and it honestly, it works. It's so simple, it's so straightforward. All there is really is literally just an axle. That's it, just an axle cut in between the gap of the battering ram here, and that's what propels it forward. It's such a simple design, and yet it just works so elegantly. This is amazing. As a gift with purchase, this relates to the set, so I will rate this very highly. I give this a solid like 9 out of 10. The only thing I would say is probably it will look better if it had a molded head. I just don't really like the eyes. The eyes kind of ruin the scary look of it. But the rest of the battering ram is a great texture. It just uses a bunch of these smooth pieces. Oh, oops. On the top here, you can see they use these like spike pieces to create horns. Now, in the back of the battering ram, there is an articulable tail. It's really not that special. You can kind of fold in the tail. This kind of stops it though, so you're gonna have to stick the tail up for it to actually swing, have the full range of motion. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I should also probably mention, yes, the battering ram does have these like claws at the bottom. That is part of the design, and they emulated that here beautifully. That looks nice. They use the base for the arrow blades in Ninjago for the arrow blades. This was in like the possession sets, so glad to see this piece is still up and running. It's still alive and thriving. They've also got the claw at the back leg here of the battering ram, so that's really nice. So that is the battering ram itself. There are also 2 orc minifigs with this set, but I will give my score now. I think the orc minifigs already make it great, but it's really the build. It's the build here that's the selling factor. And so I will happily give it a 9 out of 10. Now, let's look at the minifigs. The 2 minifigures in this gift of purchase are just your ordinary orcs. Don't think they have names. These are just your typical orc foot soldiers. We got a swordsman here and an archer. The archer one here looks more like a goblin than an orc, but this is an orc archer. He's got the bow and arrow. Very interesting hairpiece. I do like this hairpiece. I'm pretty sure they use this for like elves and a lot in like the Zelda sets, I believe. So this is a really nice dual mold with the goblin ears. I'm gonna call them goblin ears, but it's a really nice hairpiece, that's for sure. I don't think this, oh no, this orc does have 2 faces. There you go. There's the other face. I'm not really digging the green color scheme, I can't lie. But it's not a bad minifig overall. I actually don't have any orcs, so. And I'm about to get more when I get Barad-dûr, but these are great starter orcs. So that's the archer. And then here's the swordsman, or just the warrior. He's got a helmet. He's got a sword. These are orc molded swords, so that's really nice. And we take up the helmet. Here's what he looks like underneath. Very nice. Here's his second face. Very nice. And yeah, this looks more believable. I would believe that this is an orc. The green one, yeah, I would say looks more like a goblin. This one, yes, absolutely, I would say this is an orc. So overall, just two nameless orcs. These are just foot soldiers, just to fill the gift with purchase. Honestly, minifigures always add to the set, so I'm glad that this included these two minifigs, even though they don't mean anything, but they add to it. It actually looks like Grond is being operated by someone, so you can have these two operate Grond. And here is the box for Grond. So again, also a black box, even though this is much, much smaller. I mean, this is related to the Minas Tirith, so consistency. This is set 40893 with 307 pieces. Here's the top with the two orc minifigs, and here's this side, and here's this side, and then here's the bottom and the back. Just showing you the swinging feature of this battering ram, and that's about it. That is the box.
So now that we've taken a look at the entire sets, all the crooks and crannies, and of course the minifigs, and of course the gift of purchase, I've got some final thoughts. Now obviously the biggest critique when it comes to this set is probably the size. I know there were some people that really wanted this to be minifig scale, which I can understand to a degree, but let's be realistic here. If this set was minifig size, minifig scale, could you imagine the piece count? This set would be like 50 times bigger, because you gotta remember, this city is massive in the lore. This is a whole city. Remember, it's not just the Gondor Palace. You have an entire metropolitan civilization built on this mountain. So this is a huge city. And realistically, if we were to have minifig scale, not only would this not fit in anyone's shelf, this thing would probably not even fit on a table because it would be like mighty, it would be huge. If you really want it to be minifig scale, and the piece count. The piece count is already quite high for this set, and it's already like micro scale. Imagine minifig scale. The piece count would be so high, meaning it would reflect on the price. And the price, this is already quite a bit of money. This is like about $1,000 in Canadian. And if we want minifig scale with all those additional parts, yeah, I don't think a lot of people will be able to get the set, honestly speaking. This is already crossing the 4-digit mark for the price. And yeah, you want minifig scale, this thing is guaranteed gonna be like 5K at least, maybe even more. And it will definitely break the record for one of the most expensive LEGO sets of all time, if we're looking at retail prices. So I think this is probably the best we can ask for. Realistically speaking, with everything being micro scale, it was kind of a necessity if you want this set to actually exist. If LEGO was to actually make this set, they had to do it in micro scale. Honestly, that's why I'm not like too bothered by the scale. Now granted, if you really want to expand it, feel free to add your own pieces to it. I'm pretty sure it's not that challenging to expand this set at all with a bunch of pieces. Like a lot of these pieces here are like white pieces. These are really common pieces. You can very well just buy a bunch of extra pieces related to the set and just make it bigger. But if we're being realistic, this is like already crossing the line quite a bit. This is already pushing it in terms of affordability. Bear in mind, $650 USD, which is like what, 930 Canadian roughly. That's no chum change. That's a lot of money to a lot of people. That is a lot of money. Now, after you add tax and everything, you're looking at $1,000. That's why I said this set is it's $1,000. This is already crossing the 4-digit mark. And look, if money is not an issue for some of you, well, of course I would recommend this set because this is awesome. I love it. Despite it being micro scale, it still looks stunning, and it is pretty accurate to its actual design from the movie. And honestly, I could not ask for anything better than this. So obviously, not taking price into consideration, absolutely I would recommend you to go out there and get the set while it's still in retail. But of course, we do have to recognize that, you know, not everyone has this money that they can use to just easily purchase this set. So my recommendation would be, if this is really out of budget for you, probably don't get the set. It's not really like anything like super special. Now, of course, if you're really deep into the franchise, you've read the books, you know your stuff, you absolutely love Gondor and everything, you know, obviously this is the heart of the country, and this represents a pivotal moment in the story. You know, the Pelennor Fields battle, Ride of the Rohirrim, all that happens here. So this definitely is great for the lore, you know, for the fandom. If you're a big fan of everything, tis the one. But if you're just like a casual fan who just thought this was a cool looking set, maybe save your money for something else. I'd say save your budget for a set that you genuinely would really like. Maybe this set wouldn't be for you. But granted, if you're looking at this from like a design, architectural design perspective, this is pretty good from a micro scale point of view. This looks very nice. So there are a lot of highs. There are definitely more highs than lows in this set. The only low I would really say, it's probably like the space itself. And that's of course due to it being micro scale. There are some spaces in the set where you kind of have to just stuff a minifig in there. There's not really much walking space. Now, I'm not talking about being minifig scale, as I just said. I'm just saying, like, it would be nice if there was a little more moving space, a little bit more wiggle room in the set for you to actually put the minifigs in. Now, the interior, obviously, like the inside, that's really where the designers expect you to put your minifigs in, because that's actually minifig scale. But really on the outside, if you really want for like an aesthetic like battle display feature, you want to line up your Gondor soldiers on the walls, that might be a little challenging. You probably can't stack a ton of soldiers. Granted, this set only gives you 4 soldiers, and I'll get to that in a second, but you can't really put an army in this set, if that makes sense, just because of the lack of space. Now, one of the main concerns I have for this set is sun damage. Now, obviously, this entire set, 80% of it is made with white pieces. And you know how sensitive white Lego pieces are to the sun. They get yellowed pretty easily, and believe me, I have some traumatic stories of some of my expensive Ninjago minifigs getting yellowed simply because they were made with white pieces. Now, this set, I can guarantee you, is gonna be very vulnerable to the sun. And with how big this set is, it is a big hitbox for the sun to just turn this whole thing yellow. And before I know it, this set would no longer be called the White City, it would be the Yellow City. I would highly recommend, if you actually get this set, number 1, do a scouting mission around your house or your living space. Make sure you actually have not just enough space to actually put this damn thing, either on your table or on your shelf, but also be strategic of where to put it, probably away from the windows. Now, if you live in the area or in a space that doesn't have a lot of windows, then this probably won't be a big issue for you. But I know most people, well, actually a lot of people would put Lego on the windowsill, not just the shelf. And even if it does sit on the shelf, obviously the sun will still shine in through the window and will hit the things on the shelf. So you gotta be really strategic of where you wanna put this, if you wanna preserve this white color. If you don't want this to become the Yellow City, you gotta really think about where you're gonna put this set. And luckily I do have a space where I have done some cleaning and moving around, and I prepped the space for it where it's completely blocked from the sun. It should be theoretically safe, and this can probably sit on my shelf for many years without turning yellow whatsoever. Now, some of my other sets, not so lucky, and I learned that the hard way. So that's something I have to keep in mind with this set going forward. So that's something I would highly recommend. And knowing the price tag on this set, you definitely want to preserve this and keep it in the great condition, because obviously it's a really, really expensive set already. Imagine having to replace all the pieces because it turned yellow. It's just gonna cost you even more money. Just be smart and just find a good space to put it before displaying it. Now, minifig selection, I mean, it makes sense. I think the selection is pretty good. There's not really like a filler minifig. You can kind of say the Gondor soldiers, but they are related to the city, and plus like thousands of these soldiers are present in the city. So if anything, we needed more, not just 4. This is honestly my main critique with the minifigs, is that right now with what LEGO is doing with Lord of the Rings is all these really nice big sets. These UCS type sets, don't get me wrong, it's great. It's obviously quality over quantity, and they're really focusing on quality. They want to deliver instead of just mass producing a ton of mid sets. And I really, really appreciate that. However, that also causes another problem, which is because their focus is only on these big UCS sets, they're all expensive and they are locked behind such ludicrous prices that not everyone can get it, because not everyone can afford it. And that's all the recent Lord of the Rings sets. From Rivendell up to this one, it's all triple digits. And that's the only way you can get yourself 4 Gondor soldiers, by paying $1,000. Now, if you go on Bricklink or any secondary market, I can guarantee you these soldiers will not be cheap because of just how little there is with this set. So I do agree with the comments suggesting that LEGO should do battle packs. Honestly, they should. They should do like a Gondor battle pack with a couple Gondor soldiers, maybe like Faramir or Boromir, like one main character, or like a Gondor soldier captain or something. And then they can include like maybe just like a horse or like a small little build, a small little trebuchet build or something. Because that will obviously open a lot more options for collectors. Number one, do army build, because if you make battle packs, they're gonna be quite cheap. You can bulk buy them. You can buy a ton of them, and then you can just fill all the soldiers on your Minas Tirith build, and you can army build. Simply as that. But obviously, the more important benefit is that it's cheap. They actually will have some relatively cheap, affordable Lord of the Rings sets that you can buy if you can't get your hands on something like this, like a big city like set like this. Just get the battle packs and make yourself a Gondor army. Don't get me wrong, the soldiers are great. I love the new armor molds, the armor pieces, they're great. It's just we have too little. There's no way you can just have 4 soldiers for the entirety of this city. We needed more. And right now, these are the only ways you can get these Gondor soldiers. Now, the other main characters, we got Denethor, Gandalf, of course, Gandalf and Shadowfax, great additions. All the minifigs in here make sense. It's just, we needed more Gondor soldiers. And I'm just saying, LEGO, I am adding to the outcry, the big request of making more battle packs for Lord of the Rings. So please, LEGO, get on that, please do that. Obviously, they can do battle packs for other armies too, like the Orcs, the Rohirrim, although that one might be a little bit more pricey because they'll probably have to include the horses as well. But I digress. Now, quickly, about the Grond. Obviously, this is very hard to get now because this was obviously a gift with purchase. By the time I'm filming this review, it is already July 1st. It's been exactly a month since this set released, and obviously that means that Grond here is no longer available to get. So where can you get it? Well, obviously the secondary markets, and I can tell you this has risen quite a bit in the secondary market. You're probably looking at about 100 plus if you want to actually buy this set. The real question is, was it worth it? And obviously yes. This gift with purchase actually makes sense because this is related to the set. And obviously this is a very simple, straightforward build. It's also very micro scale as well. It's not minifig scale because this has to match the front gate in order for you to recreate the scene. If you actually want to bash the gate down, this also had to be scaled down to match the set. So this is perfectly fine. I'm just saying if you missed out on it, you probably don't have to stress. This looks like something you can easily build with just simply the pieces itself. Just go on Bricklink, buy all the pieces for this set, and then you can literally just build it. So honestly, you're not really missing out if you didn't get your hands on this set. There is a way to get your hands on it. Now, obviously, I got this because I bought the set day one, so I was able to get this as well. It's a great gift with purchase, and including are the 2 little orc minifigs, which is great. I think we need battle packs like this. My recommendation for Grond here is obviously, if you got the set during release week, congratulations, you should probably build this. I don't really see a point in keeping it sealed, obviously, unless you want to make a quick buck. But let's be honest, it is a little bit ludicrous in the resale price. Just do what I did and build it. I had no intentions of reselling this. I wanted to actually build this because this is actually related to the sets. Now, with other gift with purchases, if they're not related to the set and you don't really like them, yeah, fair enough. Go ahead and sell them, get your money back. But this is related to the set. Why would I want to get rid of it? I'm not here to make money. I'm here for the experience of getting this big set. So that's really what I gotta say on Grond here. So overall, a very good gift with purchase. And you put this next with the whole main set as a whole. This is all I could ask for a Minas Tirith set. I'm very satisfied with it. You know, this was something I've wanted for years and LEGO finally did it. And now it's actually here. I am very satisfied with it. And I look forward to see what they're gonna do next. I feel like this is the peak in terms of big Lord of the Rings sets. Like, we have Rivendell, we've had Baladur, we've had the Shire, we have pretty much all the iconic locations nailed. Like, the only locations I can think of now is maybe Edoras, Helm's Deep is gonna have to be like related to Rohan, because we've done one now for Gondor. We gotta do it for Rohan next. And this is great. I'm happy with it. I look forward to putting this on my shelf to display in all of its glory. And I will honestly give this a solid 8 out of 10. I just wish it was bigger, but apart from that, that's it. That's my review on Minas Tirith. Very, very, very happy that this set finally exists officially. If you've gotten this set yourself, let me know. How was your building experience with this set? As you can evidently tell, I really took my time building this set. That's why this review came out so late, but that's part of the experience. I didn't want to rush it. I wanted to actually experience this build, and yeah, I gotta say it was a very delightful experience. Now, if you haven't gotten this set yet, but you are considering to get this set, hopefully I gave you some insight on what you can expect of the set and help solidify your decision whether to cop this or not. Now, obviously, if budget is a big thing for you, wait for this to go on sale. Now, that's probably gonna be a long time until that happens. Probably when it's near retirement. That's probably not gonna be for like another 5 years. You might have to do a lot of waiting. But maybe you get lucky, maybe a Black Friday deal or something. Maybe not from LEGO themselves, maybe another store is selling it on discount. Wait for it to go on discount. If money is really tight and you want the set, that's probably your best strat. Don't get it from resellers, at least not now. There's no need to get it from resellers because it literally just released. It's in retail, so buy it for retail price. Don't give scalpers money. I'm done yapping about this set. I'm gonna put this on my shelf now and enjoy it every time I walk past my living room. So thanks for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe. And yes, I have done this review before any of the Ninjago reviews, but I'm telling you, those are coming soon. So please have that bell on so when those reviews come out, you will be notified and you won't miss them. So thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one.